Right. Okay, welcome everybody. Special welcome to new faces. Sarah,
Thank you.
welcome. And a few people from online who want to say hi to. Of course, Carmel in South Africa, welcome and hello. And Reb Tzvi from New York, welcome and hello. And there's a few other people that I will remember later next time. But okay, so we're holding in Torah Zion 7, and it's a very special, like I know I say this all the time, but it's a very special Torah, very special concepts. And when we get going a little bit, it's going to be a little bit different of a format than usual, because usually I always say, let's try to hold questions till the end, so that we can get through the material and then talk about it afterwards. But I'm going to ask a couple times if people have any comments, because it's a subject that we'll see is kind of affects a person on an individual level. So we'll see what happens when we get there. Welcome, Menachem. Okay, so we started off in this Torah talking about the concepts of Emunah, Tefillah, and Nisim. That's Emunah, what we sometimes call faith, but we just like to leave as Emunah. Tefillah, prayer, and Nisim, miracles. And how they're really all one concept that's all linked together. Because basically, what is a nes? What's a miracle? A miracle is when we have nature going the way that nature goes. And when Hashem subverts nature and goes above nature, that's a miracle. Something happens that is not like the regular flow of, let's say, the laws of physics or the general laws of existence in the normal world. Something changes and the sea splits, right? That is a miracle going above and beyond nature on a big level. So, in other words, we have emunah that we know that Hashem can and does go above and beyond nature for us, right? And that's basically the backbone of tefillah, of why we would daven. Because we believe that Hashem will change things for us. Hashem will make miracles happen for us. Hashem will change the way that things are supposed to be. Right now, in my current kivun, my current path, I'm living in a certain way and things are happening to me in a certain way for a certain reason. And if I want those things to change, something has to change, right? Something has to go not the way that it's been going up until now. And if you remember, I'd like to repeat that we said this awesome thing from Torah Lamed, that Rabbeinu says over there, that the way that everything works in the world has to do with the alignment of the stars and the whole entire universe. So everything, all the stars, all the billions of galaxies and stars are all like doing their thing to create existence is exactly how it is right now at this moment. So really, that means all those billions of galaxies, right? It's mind-boggling. So that means you have to have tremendous chutzpah to come and daven now. To come and say, Hashem, I know that you have created for me every moment the entire universe with all the stars and everything's aligned perfectly to do exactly what's happening right now, but I need you to change everything up for me, please, and make it, big chutzpah. But that's really what it means. That's what tefillah is. We're saying Hashem will go above nature to change things for us. So emunah and tefillah and nisim are all together.
What's hishtadla in all this?
Hishtadlus?
Yeah.
I'll answer that with something that's sort of funny, but not really. So one of the famous rabbis, I don't remember who it was.
Hishtadlus means our effort, like our effort into it. You
Right.
can't just say,
Right.
I want to win the 649, but don't buy a ticket.
Right.
Don't do anything. Okay.
It's a good question.
Halavai, that should be our only hishtadlus, have to just buy the ticket.
Right. Amen.
Buy a ticket for the lottery and we win, that's it? No, so one of the big rabbis, I don't remember who it is now, I'll find out afterwards, but says very strongly that tefillah is the hishtadlus. Tefillah is hishtadlus.
Right, of course.
Right? That's our main effort. That's our main hishtadlus is tefillah. Welcome, Alan. Right? Of course, we have to do hishtadlus, no question. But beyond that, we're always davening. We're always asking for Hashem to help us. And so to help us, He's going beyond nature. That's the main thing. Then we said also that Eretz Yisrael fits into this grouping. Why? Because Eretz Yisrael is the place of nisim, the place of miracles, and the place of emunah. And we brought psukim to show this. But we also saw that Mitzrayim was the opposite of Eretz Yisrael, right? the opposite of Eretz Yisrael, in that in Mitzrayim, it was the source of all Tumah, the opposite of Kedusha, the source of all Tumah. And in that place, Moshe Rabbeinu was not able to daven. The pasuk said that he had to, in order to daven in Mitzrayim, Moshe Rabbeinu had to leave the country or leave the city, because you can't daven in this place. There's too much tumah. And since there's no tefillah, there's no nisim. There's no tefillah, there's no nisim, right? And yeah. So that was one aspect of it. We see this whole concept going. Eretz Yisrael, tefillah, emunah, and nisim are all linked together. And then we said, I just want to bring this out, so because this is going to come into play later. We had this interesting Gemara that said, the Gemara in Tainus, that said, Mashiach will not come ad shetichla pruta mirakis. Mashiach ben David will not come until there is no more pruta. There's no longer even a pruta, a single coin left in the pocket. Okay, remember that? So we said that means Pashat Pshat is that when times from Mashiach are coming, money is going to be a very difficult situation, and we're not going to have any more coins, any more money in our pocket. The way that Reb Chaim Kramer explains it and Reb Nosson Maimon explained it, I don't know, maybe it's because it was a long time ago. They explained that inflation is going to be so crazy that money will not have value so much, right?
Visa cards. Visa cards.
I also
Could
heard
be.
Yeah, like one interpretation is that because money will become electronically
Right.
only used
Right. Yeah.
I didn't know that.
So we certainly see that happening, right?
So so there's a debate though whether we're
Apple Pay?
impoverished or whether we're just technically like
Right.
advanced.
So fear not, because we don't have to go into these details for this Torah, because the deeper drasha of this Gemara is like this. So we said that there's a certain angel that is the angel appointed over miracles, over upper level miracles and lower level miracles, and this angel is in the shape damya leegla, is in the shape of a calf, right? And we said that calf, that word for calf, egel, damya leegla, similar to a calf, is also the lashon of surrounding, of a circle that's surrounding, of igul. And we know that emuna is compared to a circle surrounding you. The munascha svivoisecha, your emuna surrounds you, right? This aspect of emuna is always connected to something that's soivev, that's surrounding you, like an eagle, like a circle surrounding you. So that angel that is appointed over miracles is also an aspect of emuna. And that angel, it says over there that why is it called, what does it do, that angel? Upfrita sifvase. It moves its lips, meaning it talks. Meaning because that angel, that's also how that angel is an aspect of tefillah. That angel moves its lips, like we move our lips to daven. So that angel that's appointed over miracles is an egel, is a circle like emuna, and it moves his lips like tefillah. But prita sifvase, it moves its lips in the Aramaic tongue over here. So, what do we have over here? How does this come into play? Ad shetichla pruta minakis. So, this aspect of pruta, this angel that moves its lips, is compared to nisim, is an aspect of nisim and emuna. And kis, which means pocket, also means to be covered. So, this pasuk is saying on a deeper level, this Gemara is saying that Mashiach's going to come when this angel, this aspect, this concept of emunah and of miracles is no longer covered up. When emunah and miracles become open, become seen, become believed, become understood, that will be the time that Mashiach is going to come. Meaning what? The whole thing we were talking about is that there's these people, apikorsim, who look at the world and want to understand the world by covering up miracles. So what do? They see miraculous things and they do whatever they can to just ascribe it to some type of scientific thing. And the example that we gave was like you could take, the splitting of the sea and say, oh no, what really happened was the stars were lining up exactly this exact way that happens only once every 86 billion years, and they were just perfect when the Bnei Israel walked up there, and at that exact same time a special wind came and blew the water, and everything was gravity and wind, and everything was happening just at the right time, and as soon as they got to the other side, the stars switched again, and the wind blew the other way, and it blew and caught the Mitzrayim in the thing. So, listen, I understand. But this is covering up miracles. So what are we painting over here? I just want to... This Torah is not complicated, and it's not long, but it's very, foundational. What are we talking about over here? What is this whole thing going on with Emunah and miracles and Tefillah and Eretz Yisrael, right? This whole thing is painting. This is like the picture of how a Yid is supposed to be. This is how we're supposed to see the world. Everything to us is supposed to be miraculous. Do you remember that we said that this aspect of miracles, we said over here that the pasuk said, Tahoim el Tahoim koirei, that the one deep calls to the other deep, the Tahoim. And we said that it's this aspect of Eretz Yisrael, because Eretz Yisrael, we said, drinks first from the waters of the world, from the waters of Emunah, and the waters come from the deep. And what was the deep? The word Tahoim, which means the deep, also is a lashon of Tehoim, which means to be amazed, to be astonished, amazed, blown away, right? That is an aspect of the miraculous, right? When we see something that's totally amazing, and we're like, we're blown away. That is Tehoim. That's being amazed. That's an aspect of Eretz Yisrael. And it's all, the image that Rabbi Nachman is painting for us, in my mind, is this is the way that a Jew sees the world. We're constantly amazed at how unbelievable everything is, and the miraculous nature of existence and everything. And we see this in the world, and we're looking with emunah. We're trying to see, as opposed to someone who's trying to cover up Hashem and try to cover things up with science and whatnot, we're doing the opposite. We're trying to see Hashem in the world. We're trying to see Hashem. We're trying to see emunah. And we're talking to Hashem. We're davening because we believe that Hashem can change nature. And He can change all those stars and everything. And He can make a whole new existence for me today. Yeshuas Hashem keheref ayin. The salvation of Hashem could be in the blink of an eye. Right? So this is what I think Rabbi Nachman is doing for us over here, in my own opinion. This is the way we're supposed to be. Right? Not that there's anything wrong. Had a long discussion with someone about this. Not that there's anything wrong with studying science, right? Or other aspects of, secular studies. The difference becomes, especially Reb Nosson talks about this, the difference becomes when you study that as an end, right? And you study science and you only care about Olam Hazeh, about this world. You're not interested in what Hashem's doing. You're not interested in what happens after this world. You're just focusing on this world, period. If you can learn science and through science see Hashem, that's nothing wrong with that, theoretically. Some people may tell you to focus on our stuff, but you know what I'm saying? And to the extent, we're going to talk about this a little bit later, where I feel like the more science evolves, the harder it is to not believe in Hashem. It's getting so crazy, the things, like they even called it the God particle already. Like this one thing they're looking for, that's the unified theory of existence, whatever. Like everywhere, the deeper we go, the more we see Hashem, if we're looking. But we'll talk about this more. I'll hold off for now. So that's where we are right now. Emunah, Tefillah, Nisim, Eretz Yisrael. It's all Jewish existence. It's our outlook. Okay, so, yeah?
How you do with Korban Pesach?
What?
How you do with Korban Pesach if it had to be Dafka in Mitzrayim?
The Korban Pesach had to be Dafka in Mitzrayim, yeah.
Not outside. So
yeah.
describe me some.
And we had to be there also.
Into Tuma,
yeah.
Diving in Tuma and Misakin.
100%, for sure. You hear what Yonah is saying? We're talking about how Mitzrayim is the place of Tumah, and it's not the place of Tefillah, it's not the place of Nisim. It's a yucky, covered up place, right?
Like downtown Toronto?
Even worse. if you can imagine. No, so
That's not what you're saying.
what?
But
That's the opposite of what you're saying.
What is the opposite of
What
what
I'm saying.
No. In other words, why did we have to go to Mitzrayim in the first place? Why do we have to be there? What's the purpose of us being in Mitzrayim? Right? So, the famous answer is that there's things hidden, sparks of Kedusha hidden so deep there. In the worst, we had to go to the worst place in the world. Had to be there. Right? Like Hashem said to Avram Avinu, know that your children are going to be strangers in their land and they're going to be afflicted with it. But it had to be the worst place in the whole world? Had to be Mitzrayim? Why couldn't it have been, I don't know, Turkey. Not quite as bad. I don't know. Why couldn't it be a different place, right? It had to be Mitzrayim because we had to go down to that deep, deep darkness and release those sparks of Kedusha that were hidden there. And it can only be done after we're there for so long. And it can only be done when we're at the lowest of the low. Then we get taken out from Mitzrayim. Then we elevate those sparks, right? But the whole time leading up to that, Mitzrayim is this place. Yeah? That was the tikkun, you're right, 100%. But Mitzrayim on its own was this place void of tefillah and void of miracles. Right? Make sense? I think it makes sense.
There was no great new law either, right?
Yeah,
During that time?
yeah.
So
Whole bunch of- Okay, let's go. So now we're starting fresh at Ois Beis, letter Beis. Aval efshar lavoy le'emuna ela al yedei emes. It's not possible to come on to emuna except through emes, truth. Kamuva b'zoyar, like it says in the Zoyar. V'haya tzedek ezor masnav ve'emuna. The pasuk says v'haya tzedek ezor masnav. That tzedek, justice, will be a gird around a belt around your loins. 1 second. Let me find where. Yeah. Sorry, everybody. Tzedek ezor masnav ve'emuna. Tzedek ezor masnav ve'emuna ezor chalatzav. And emuna will be a belt around your loins also. Funny lashon. So you might say, Hainu tzedek, hainu emuna. Tzedek and emuna, we're talking about the same thing here. Tzedek is going to be girding your loins as a belt, and emuna is going to be girding your loins. So what's the pshat? So the Zohar answers, Kad is chaber ba emes. Once emes is connected together with emuna, then, 1 second, Vamro Sham, Emunav Iskar is Kad Ischaber Ba Emes. It's called Emuna once it is connected with Emes. So Tzedek becomes Emuna once it is connected together with Emes. So this is a deep Kabbalistic concept over here. It's like this. Let's just explain this over here. For those who are Kabbalistically inclined. Sfiras HaMalchus, so the sphere of Malchus, is called emuna, and when it is brought together and connected to the midah of emes, of truth, which is an aspect of the spheres of zer anpin, and then the malchus is mevateres l'chula umashpim l'roim, and then it's when that happens, all the dinim are gone, and there's simcha in the world, and all the flow comes down. But in other words, once that sphere of malchus is connected together with the midah of emes, that's when you have this aspect of emuna. That's when emuna comes together. And one is called tzedek, and one is called emuna, and when emes is involved, it's all this aspect of emuna, which is a deep concept in Kabbalah. But for our purposes, what are we saying over here? That you must have, the Zohar is telling us, you must have emes in order to get to emuna. You must have truth in order to get to emuna. And this is where we're going to start to talk about some stuff that's bothering me. We're going to rant a little bit on top of our regular learning. So let's talk about it. So like this. I'm asking you really a question. I want to hear answers. What does it mean to have emuna? What does it mean to have emuna? The way that we learn about it in Breslov Soren.
I don't know about Breslov.
Yeah.
To completely believe that Hashem is the master of everything and
Okay.
that everything is from Him.
Completely believe, Sarah says, that Hashem is the master of everything and that everything is from Hashem.
Yeah.
Okay, very good. That's pretty Breslovy.
Okay. In the right place.
What else?
Well, just to extend, it goes beyond logic, like goes beyond
Whoa.
the point of when you say, I can see or not. It's when you let go past that point of the
Yeah.
logic of the
Okay,
mind.
so Sandra's saying it goes beyond logic, right? Which is a very important point that we have to talk about here. Meaning what? So Rav Nosson brings down, and really it's just obvious, that emuna is not necessary when you have clear, exact knowledge. In other words, emuna is going to a place where you don't really have clarity completely. That's where you have to have emuna. Otherwise, you just know 100%. You have total clarity, right? So Emunah steps beyond that. Very good. So what else? Anybody else got anything, by the way?
Well, with the moon is that
Yeah.
everything Hashem does is for the good, whether it's not difficult or
Very good. 100%. Third level of Emunah, knowing that everything, second level of Emunah, knowing that everything is for your good. Not only that Hashem's doing everything, but really everything is for your good. Right? Very good. 100%. So where does MS fit into this? Where might MS create a problem? In other words, what would Emunah look like without truth, without MS?
There is no Emunah without truth.
I'm on the same page as you. So, but what would that look like? What would it be like? Yeah.
Chaos. If you don't have emet, you don't
Yeah.
have truth in every way. People aren't doing total truth in the world, not stealing, not doing bad things. Then you can't get to Emunah because you don't have truth. You need to be totally emetic,
You need to be honest.
honest, truth.
Okay.
Clearly, you know what I mean? How can you reach Hashem if you're a thief?
Right.
I mean, really, to receive such Emunah
Right.
that you see everything, you have to get to a level to
Very good.
yourself
Okay.
to fix.
So
something.
Alyssa's saying that if you're not living in the realm of truth, and you're not honest and doing the right things, then how can you have an Emunah connection to Hashem? How can you?
No, I'm telling a total connection.
Right, and you're receiving from Hashem, and you're
Everything, yeah. You can have
everything's not
blockages
aligned.
If you're not,
So you're gonna have blockages. Okay, I hear.
you're not going to get
I
the
hear.
total connection to Hashem.
That seems to be on truth. It could be also in
How can you
action.
connect or connecting?
Yeah,
with
you have to be righteous also, right?
Right.
Yeah, Avra.
But you can have two people who are completely righteous and
Yeah.
Emunah, but although Emunah is constantly changing, Hashem is always bringing us up.
Yeah,
You need a dayan. You still need your tzaddikim. You still need the dayan to judge, to help us, because two people can be so righteous yet they from their own perspectives they need help
right.
to know what the actual truth is according to Hashem.
Oh, very good. So Avra is saying, it sounds like, that you need to have an anchor for Emunah, an anchor in emes, something to anchor you into your emes, to hold you into truth. So Reb Nosson says, for example, it's possible, if you don't have emes, you could believe anything. You could believe in anything, right? You could have a different religion. You could start praying to the table if you want, if you don't have emes. How do you know what you're believing in is really emes? How are you on the right path, right? So Rabbi Nachman is going to give an answer here on how to anchor ourselves with emes and emunah. But I was thinking all day about this today because, I had to come to a realization, which I'm sure you've already made, but for me, it had to come out. So, a lot of times these days, I'll tell you a funny story. Maybe I've said before, but one of the people who sometimes comes to our shir had a friend who was going through a difficult time. And this person I'm talking about, who sometimes comes to the shir, is a very holy person, very strongly plugged into emunah, right? And so this person said to her friend, maybe you should try to work on emunah. And this person went ballistic on her. It was like, what are you talking about? You don't think I have emunah? I believe in Hashem, right? I believe in God. Of course I believe in, And so they got in a huge fight. And this person came to me afterwards and was like, what's happening? I don't get it. And I said to her, you have to understand that the emunah that you have is different from the emunah that other people talk about. The emunah that you have is this all-encompassing, emunah that everything that happens to me, everything that happens in the world is all Hashem taking care of me, speaking to me, guiding me, right? Giving me what I need. You're living your life with emunah. This is real emunah. That person thinks that emunah means, do I believe that there's such a thing as God or not? And now that I believe there's such a thing as a God, that's my emunah. And now I go through life and I do what I have to do. But this person is a mess because they don't have actual emunah. They just think there's a God, but then they don't understand what that means in their own life. You hear? So, yeah?
Emunah is rooted in the word trustworthiness.
Yeah.
right? If something is amin, right? Right. So it's that idea, concept of believing that you can trust in God, right? Because that's why we use that
Right.
word specifically,
Right.
rather than many other words that we could use.
So this aspect, that's good. So in other words, that emunah is an aspect of trust. There's trusting that God's got my back. God's taking care of me.
Belief in God's steadfastness.
Steadfastness.
The
Oh,
other
very good.
word, the fact that God is steadfast and is there for us. Because that's what when we say we have emunah, that's really what we're saying.
Right.
So we believe in God's steadfastness on our behalf.
God's steadfastness on our behalf. Right. Very good. So you want to hear another awesome thing about the word emunah? This is really cool. This is very special. So what's an uman? Not the city in Ukraine. What's a Hebrew uman?
Like an art professional.
It means an artisan, a craft person, right? So I don't know if we said this before in this class, but this is a beautiful, important idea about emunah. So an uman, an artisan,
Oman.
an oman, yeah. So what does that mean? What's a craftsperson? What's a sculptor, right? So imagine you have a person who's a sculptor, and they do their thing. They have the piece of whatever clay, and they start doing their thing, and they're making this amazing, beautiful piece of art, and everything's perfect, and it's artistic and fine, and it's gorgeous, right? And they say, "Wow!" Someone sees it and says, "Wow, that's amazing! How'd you do that?" And like they could start to tell you all these ideas about the technicalities of sculpting, and they'll tell you use this kind of knife for this kind of cut, and you use this other kind of one for this kind of thing, and this is how you do it, and this is how you do it, right? But now, if you go to try to do it, what's your sculpture going to look like? Sorry, what's my sculpture going to look like? It's going to be like a children's something, right? It's not going to. Why? Because that person's skill, that person's art, is so intrinsically part of them that it just happens. They can't even tell you how to do it. You can't explain it, right? Because it's an intrinsic part of them. That's just what they are. Like a carver can do all this crazy stuff, and a painter can paint, and you can't possibly tell you, I'm going to give you a class for 1 hour on how to paint this beautiful painting over here, and then you'll go home and do it, and then you'll bring them back, right? And like mine would look like a child's drawing compared to this person, right? Because they have this with them. So too, emunah implies this aspect of just intrinsic trust, reliance on the steadfastness of Hashem in every aspect of existence and the world, and everything is a message for me, everything's talking to me, everything's guiding me. It's a whole, all-encompassing life. It's a life, not a lifestyle, it's a life, right? That's what this level of emunah is. So I was thinking about this person and this situation, and I was thinking about, like, you know, most people, if they come from people that come from a non-frum background and they become religious, right? What is often their major obstacle, or what has been, let's say, within the last 50 years, right? People don't believe in God, period. Right. And they're in this realm of atheism that's swept over the world, and they need to figure out, is it okay for me to believe in God? And once they have that, okay, I've figured it out, I went to this seminar, I saw all these amazing proofs and all these amazing, discovery seminar type of things, and I'm like, wow, this looks real. I see that there's something to this. Or maybe they start learning some deep Torah, and when they start learning this deep Torah, they're like, whoa, there's something to it. There's something real going on here, right? So it gives them like something that they're able to believe. And this is something that nowadays people think is what it means to have emunah. Is I've discovered that it could be that there's such thing as God, right? And this is a big conversation nowadays, and this is what all of this movement of emunah is trying to bring into the world. But that's not emunah. That's an intellectual discovery that I've made, an intellectual process that I've gone through, and I'm able to say, okay, yeah, God. Okay, there's a God. But now emunah means that becomes part of my craft, part of my life. Part of my essence is that I live with that knowledge, and it changes my actions. It guides my life, right? It changes me completely. So when Rabbi Nachman and Rabbi Nassan are talking about emunah, I was thinking about this. If you look in all of Rabbi Arush's Sfarim, if you look at all of what Rabbi Nachman talks about, I've never seen Rabbi Nachman ever once, or Reb Nosson, even feel the need to talk about a proof of the existence of God. It's never even a question. Nowhere. Right? Why? Because it's...
Self-evident.
Exactly. Because for thousands of years, it was self-evident. And then it was pulled down, then it was brought down, then it was covered up. All the nisim and everything were covered up. All the miraculous nature of existence was covered up. And now we're in a different realm where first people need to intellectually come to the conclusion, come to the decision that there could be such thing as God. And now they can start fresh once they have that, right? But I personally think, I really feel this very strongly, that people are not looking for a proof. They're looking for just an allowance. They're looking for someone to say, it's okay, you can do this. Because everybody intrinsically wants this, you know? And it's just giving you the permission to be able to believe. But anyway, that emunah is not what we're talking about here. That just thinking I believe in God is not what we're talking about here. We're talking about this intrinsic existence. So now, the combination of truth with emunah means something totally different. Because if truth means an intellectual discovery that there's such thing as God, right? And that's what I have to connect my emunah to. That's the first tiny little step. Now, what's the rest of the concept of truth together with emunah? What's truth in emunah
This is
once you
different
have this?
for me. I mean, I would hope that truth means just like you were saying, living in reality, like
Right,
being real with yourself and about what your own mission is as you can see it day to day. But
right,
I have to pray sometimes for clarity as to what my reality should be for
right, 100%.
today.
So let's
So that's Amunah, I don't know.
let's make a stop here. Let's say that all we're saying right now is that emes does not mean just this aspect of believing in God, and then now I can go forward with emunah. Emes is something that's going to go at every step along with my emunah. And let's see now in the rest of this Torah what comes out from this concept. You got something to say, Alan? No, I thought you had something to say. No?
Yeah, I was just going
Yeah.
to say, like, there was a concept also in Rabbi Nachman,
Yeah.
one of his lessons in the small book 10,
Yeah.
small he said Amunah is also, it's a belief that Hashem loves justice, but he loves the Jewish people more than justice, so he hides in the obstacles. In other words, every time you have an obstacle, Amunah means you believe that it's Hashem hiding in the obstacle.
Right.
And Rabbi
Right.
Nachman said the only way you can be defeated is if you back off, like you get intimidated by the obstacle. He says if you have a Amunah, you just believe as Hashem that you're going to see it just go back into the nothing, right? And that's pure Amunah. Unfortunately, I hate to bring it up because that means we're all going to have to. We're going to have to use this.
Yep.
It's going to come up, and we're going to have to use this. We're going to have to believe so much that Hashem is just hiding in this obstacle.
Yeah.
He's just pretending to be an obstacle.
It's gewaldic.
That's
We-
Rabbi Nachman's Torah. I forget which one it was, but it was
Right.
Yeah.
And we've seen many times already that we know we're going to have challenges, and we're going to hit lows and then go up and hit low and go up. We're always going to have this. And that
And
place,
That's pure Amunah, though. That's belief that Hashem is it's just Hashem pretending to be an obstacle.
beautiful. What else do we say? We say, Be'emunascha ba'leilos, that the emunah of Hashem is in the nighttime. Meaning, you don't need emunah when the sun's shining bright. There you can see everything clearly. Emunah is in the nighttime. That's in the darkness. Emunah is in the darkness, right? Exactly another aspect of this, 100%. So let's go, Gimel. V'yefshar lavoi le'emes ela al yedei hiskarvus le'tzadikim. You cannot come to emes except through coming close to tzadikim. V'yelech b'derech atzasam, and to walk in the ways of their advice. V'al yedei shemakabel mehem atzasam, and through receiving from them their advice, nechkak by emes. Emes gets carved into you, gets imprinted into you. Kamosha Kasov, like the pasuk says it's a two-part pasuk. It says, "Hein emes chafatzta," you wanted emes, betuchos ubasasum chachma toidieni. In my inner deep parts, teach me wisdom. What does this mean? Hein emes chafatzta, kisha'ata chafetz emes. If you want to come to emes, betuchos ubasasum chachma toidieni. You will find it. Where are you going to find it? In the innermost parts. Teach me wisdom. Ki ha'etzois shemekabel mehen hu bechinas nusuyin v'zivug. Hold on to that pasuk. Hold on to this concept. When we receive advice from someone, the planting of advice into a person, from one person to the next, is an aspect of marriage and physical relation.
Between who?
Between the advice giver and the advice receiver. Meaning what? It's not just when you have a tzaddik, or anyone really, but let's use the tzaddik example, giving advice. It's not just, I'll tell you what to do. Go and, change auto insurance policies. That's it. It's not like that, right? The advice of a tzaddik is like an intimate relationship on the level of a marriage and on the level even of physical relations. A very, very intimate connection. Let's keep going. We're going to hear. And when you receive advice from evil people, it's like a marriage in the realm of the negative forces. A marriage to the klipa, to negativity. For example, where do we see such a thing? Where do we get the root for this? Hanachash hishiani. Torah says that when Chava eats from the Eitz HaDas, and Hashem says, what's going on? What'd you do? What does she say? She says, the snake, the Nachash, messed with me. He tricked me, right? So hishiani is the word. But if you just take that word and make one tiny little change, you change it from a shin into a sin, you just move that dot on the top over to the left side, it's a lashon nisuyin. Not hishiani, hisiani. The Nachash married me. The Nachash had this intimate relationship with me. Atzois hanachash shekibla hu bechinas nisuyin. This advice that she received from the Nachash, it was this aspect of a deep relationship, of marriage. Vayidei nisuyin hito ba zuhama. And it's through this relationship they had that he implanted into her his tuma. Meaning what? That it says over there in the deeper Torah, I think it's in the Midrash, that it's either the Midrash or the Zohar, I can't remember, that the snake actually had relations with Chava and implanted his seed into her of tuma. Right? Tremendous tuma. This is what the snake did. So the advice is on this level of implanting seed of tuma into the other person. Do you hear this? Har Sinai, and when we came to Har Sinai and we received the Torah, that zuhama, that spiritual filth came out at that point. Why? So stay with me. The snake gave his advice, and the advice comes in this form of like insemination of tuma, right? Real dirty, yucky stuff. And when we came to Har Sinai, that was changed. That tumah went away. Why? Kisham kiblu taryag itin de kedusha. Because there at Har Sinai we received the 613 itin, which is Aramaic for eitzos, pieces of advice. So the advice that we received at Har Sinai was masakein, fixed, got rid of that advice of the Nachash, took away the tumah, and we started fresh in that sense. But listen to this. Just 1 second. This is like something foundational. Originally, I think the Baal Shem Tov speaks about this a lot, but it's all over the Nesiva Shalom, all over all of Chassidus. So the Zohar doesn't call the 613 mitzvahs, 613 actions, 613 commandments, mitzvahs. What does the Zohar call it? 613 itin, pieces of advice. What's the advice? It's 613 pieces of advice of how to have devekis with Hashem, how to be connected to Hashem. That's what the mitzvahs are, according to the Zohar. 613 pieces of advice of how to be intimately connected to Hashem. So this advice that was given over there was what kicked out the advice of the snake. But what are we seeing over here? What's happening over here? What are we building up over here? That when someone gives advice, actually, let's read this just last little bit of the paragraph here, and then we're going to see how it all comes together. V'lama nikra eitza bebechinas nisuyin. Why is advice called nisuyin? Why is it called like a marriage? Ki hakilaya is yoyatzais. Because the kidneys are advisors. That's where advice comes from. Uchilaya is hem klei ha'elada, and the kidneys are, I'm going to say, part of the system of reproduction, klei hazera, the system of insemination. So we have at least one doctor here. But anyway, we'll come to that afterwards. Nimtza. Kishemakablin eitza me'adam. When you receive eitza from a person, ki'ilu mikablin mimenu zera. It's as if you're receiving from him seed. Right? Va'akol lefi adam im rasha or tzaddik. And whatever that person is, if they're a rasha or a tzaddik, that's what you're receiving. And it goes even farther than this. But let's stop there for a second. So I want everybody to think about this because it's very powerful to me. Someone gives you advice. You go to someone and you're talking intimately and you need advice and someone gives you advice. That advice is like an impregnation and it goes into you on a very intimate level and then it starts to grow. It starts to build something. And what that advice does inside you is going to give birth to something. That's going to be your mindset, your actions, right? It's tremendously powerful. So it's so important to make sure that we get advice from the right people, that we get advice from holy places, right? Because if you go to a tzaddik and get advice from that tzaddik, that advice comes inside you, and that advice begins to grow and begins to become something, right? And give birth to something that is going to be a new way that I see the world, a new way that I'm going to act, and it becomes part of me, literally becomes part of me, right? On a deep, intimate level. So we have to be so careful. Can you imagine if you're going to an evil person or the wrong person for advice? What's happening to you, right? Like the metaphors are insane. If you imagine someone that gets impregnated by someone that they don't want to be impregnated by, they're stuck with that. That's part of them now, right? So too, if we're getting advice from the wrong people, that's becoming part of me now, and on a very deep level. So we got to find the right people. What's my number one rule? Do you guys remember for finding someone to ask advice from and to connect to? What?
What did you say?
What's my number one rule of finding the right people to talk to, the right tzaddikim and the right leaders?
Yeah.
Ask Hashem, good.
We ask every day.
Anava, the person has to be humble,
Oh, okay.
right?
Yeah, it's the most.
If the person isn't humble, don't even bother, right? There's plenty of people out there who know a lot of Torah and who are very, very smart, but are not humble. And if they're not humble, they can't receive what Hashem has to give them, and they're not going to be channeling from Hashem. They're just going to be trying to allow their own ego to make itself heard and to be something in the world. And you don't want to be spiritually impregnated with that type of Eitzah, right? Obviously. So this is a whole deep aspect of advice. Is no longer just, hey, what do you think about this? Right? Advice is very deep and very, very powerful. So it goes one level farther here. 1 second, where am I? Did I lose my place? Ubishvil zeh haTorah matish koyach. And it's because of this whole concept that the Torah is matish koyach. It lowers the strength of a person. It saps the strength of a person. V'nikres tushia, and the Torah is called also tushia, which means an insight. Kehem taryag itim. Why? Because there are 613 pieces of advice. Kamoy shekosov li eitza ut v'sushia. The pasuk says in Mishlei, I have the advice and the insight. Sushia. Ve'eitzos heim b'makom nisuyim. And advice comes in the place of marriage. It's like that type of relationship. B'chinas zivug. And it's the aspect of zivug, of actual, it's like similar to physical relations, which lower the koyach of a person. So Reb Nosson explains like this. This is a little graphic, but we're all adults here. So he explains that when a husband and wife are together physically, and they do what they have to do. So the zera that comes from a man, the seed that comes from a man, comes from every part of their body at that point. Their whole body is connected to that action at that time. And when that happens, koyach, strength, is sapped from their whole body, and they're left with less strength at the end of that physical intimacy, right? So too, this aspect of advice coming from a tzaddik and going to another person, it also saps the strength of that person, right? And it's this reason that Torah is called tushia, insight, and eitzah, and advice. because it saps the strength of the person who's giving it over. It takes away that strength. And the Gemara says, Torah is matish kayach. Someone who learns a lot of Torah, they lose strength. They lose strength in their body for the same reason.
I've experienced that, and I always wondered if there was a problem, like that I felt
Right.
like weak or like.
So you're on the right track.
tired.
You're on the right track. I did see it brought down in Reb Nosson at one point. He said that's like at the beginning of our Torah journey. But as people become tzaddikim, then the Torah gives them strength. So it changes. But va'atzas tzaddik hu kula zera emes. The advice of a tzaddik is 100% zera emes, the seed of truth. V'zeh perish, and this is what the pasuk means in Yirmiyah, va'anoichi natatich soirek, and I gave to you a vine, a grapevine. Bechinas ha'geula. That refers to geula. Stick with me, we're going to see how it comes out at the end. Kamei shekatzu, like the pasuk says in Zechariah, eshrika lehem va'akabtzeim. Eshrika lehem va'akabtzeim. I will call out to them, whistle to them, and I will gather them in. Meaning this lashon of soirek, shin reish kuf, is connected to gathering everybody in geula. So I will give to them soirek, which is the vine. What does that mean? Vayedei ma, how am I going to do this? Al yedei kuloi zera emes, through everything being zera emes, through the what's it called? The advice of a tzaddik being completely emes. Al yedei atzas tzaddikim tavoy le'emes. It's through the advice of tzaddikim that you'll come to emes. Vayedei zeh nikres emuna, and it's through this emes that we'll be able to call it emuna. Kad is chaber ba'emes, when it's connected to emes. Vayedei zeh tavoy ha'geula. And through that, we're going to come to the redemption, to the geula. Kihu makabal tipei haseichel shel hatzadik al yedei eitza shemekal imenu, because he's going to receive all these droplets of seichel, of wisdom, that come from the tzaddik through the eitza that we receive from him. So like this, just 1 second, with the concept of. This aspect of Hashem, I planted within you, I planted for you a soirek. That means implanting of this concept of advice. And it's through that advice that we're going to come to geula. Eshrika lehem va'akabtzeim. That same shoresh of soirek is what's going to cause va'akabtzeim. I'm going to bring everybody together. I'm going to bring them back. This is the word kabetz. Kabetz nevutzaseinu me'arba kanfei za'aretz. He's going to bring in the exiles. The exiles are going to be brought in through this advice of emes. This is where it all begins. Through zera emes, connected together with our emunah is what's going to bring geula. You hear this? As we said before, you remember in the beginning of this Torah, what's going to bring Mashiach is when we're going to stand over the Har Amana, on that top of that mountain that's called Amana, looking over the Eretz Yisrael, right? Rosh Amana. When emunah is at the rosh, when emunah is at the top, when we have tremendous emunah, that's when Mashiach is going to come. You heard it here first? Many times? I don't know. Right? Emunah is what's going to do it. And it's through the advice of tzaddikim that's going to inject the emes into the emunah. So let's just finish off this part here, and then we'll, let's see. Yeah. V'zeh, hein emes chafatzta batuchais. And this is what this pasuk meant that we said. Hein emes chafatzta batuchais. You wanted emes, it's within the internal, bakilayos. It's in the kidneys. Chachma toidieni. I will teach you wisdom. That I will receive tipei hamoyach. I will receive the droplets of the seichel, tipei haseichel, the droplets of seichel from the tzaddik. Ayadei eitza she'akabel mehem, through the eitza that I will receive from them. Va'az ezkel emes, and then I will merit to have emes. Ki tipei haseichel nikra kulei zer emes, because those droplets of seichel are called kulei zer emes. So this is another concept that is taught all over the place in Kabbalah. That the white matter of the brain, which is connected down through the spine and through in the Kabbalistic structure, the spine is connected to the bris. It's all a big connection, and that every single act of creation between a man and a woman originates in the brain matter. So when you have that intimate relation, you have an aspect of the seichel coming into that.
That side can be alive or dead.
Into that realm. What?
That side can be alive or dead, but the dead side gets with like from his teachings, I guess.
Yeah, for sure. it's a point we talk about a lot. Hal's asking for this eitzah to work. Does it have to be a live tzaddik or can it be a dead tzaddik also? So, what do you guys think?
I mean,
Either or.
Either or? Good answer.
When they're in the next world, they could do more for us, the Gemara says, than in this world.
So remember the place we always throw in a Star Wars quote here? If you strike me down now, I shall become more powerful than you can possibly imagine. So Rabbi Nachman brings us down. It's brought down in the Tanya also that after a tzaddik passes on, the way that Rabbi Nachman explains it is that a tzaddik is constantly going up and getting to higher levels and getting up into those higher worlds, right? But because he has a body, he has to come back down. He can't stay up there. But he wants to stay up there. His neshama wants to stay up there. He wants to leave his body behind. But Hashem doesn't want that. Hashem wants a person to be alive in the world, right? So they keep going up and down and up and down and higher and down and higher and down and higher and down. That's what we call Ratzoi V'Shoev, Ayel V'Nafik, the Zohar calls it. Going in and out, back and return, right? So at the end of, we said this a couple classes ago, at the end of Rabbi Nachman's life, he says, this is brought down I think in Likutei Moharan, that at the end of his life when it was time for him to pass on, he said, I'm ready to take off my coat. Because he felt that he said, I can't move. Rabbi Nachman said about himself that if he ever went through a time when he wasn't moving up, wasn't getting closer to Hashem, there would be no point in living anymore. So he got to a point where he was on such a level that he couldn't go anymore with his body still. So he said, I'm ready to take off my coat. It was time for him to get rid of physicality and to move to that tremendous connection where he'll be on a higher level. However, right, I'm going to say, like this. We have in Torah Daled, we learnt over these different aspects of how to connect to tzaddikim, alive and dead, right? And connecting through their learning, through tzedakah, through speaking to them, going to their kvarim, all these things, right? What? Lighting you're excited, lighting candles, 100%. And we went through these three main things that Rabbi Nachman says how to connect with tzaddikim. And you can do that when they're alive or dead. But, so learning their Torahs is getting their advice. And it says, also Rabbi Nachman brings down that when you learn the Torah of a tzaddik, their face, their or hapanim is brought to you also. How their lips are moving in their grave, yeah? Right? Yeah, 100%. But there is something that can't be replaced, is also direct advice. I need to ask a question. I need to really speak to someone, right? That's something that's very important, So, I have I have all these special rabbis on my phone list in WhatsApp because I got to talk to them. I need specific advice also. You can't discount the importance of specific personal advice and discussion with someone who can talk back to you in a real way. And yes, I know you could really do it. You could learn the Sfarim with a question in mind. You could do stuff like that. But I'm telling you, you need to have someone alive who you can talk to. Right? Rabbi Nachman said very strongly that all of his students, wherever they go, they need to have a Rav where they are, that they can speak to, that they can talk to, that they can ask questions to. Everyone has to have this. So, yeah. I think we're out of time. I feel like we barely started. Yeah, so that's a good place to start. We just finished this end of this ois. We'll start with ois Dalet next time. Any questions? Comments? Alyssa?
So you said we got rid of Zahava,
Yeah.
but then we had the Zahav,
Yeah.
and that was from Mitzrayim, the Khartoumim brought it back in again.
Yeah.
So it brought us down, and we're still punished for it.
Right.
So how do you?
So I'll tell you what. I don't know for sure, but I don't think it's the same. Like the picture that he's painting here is very precise to say that receiving the advice is like this physical relation, and is implanting this type of pregnancy into you, right? So that is very specifically, that was from the Nachash, the snake, and that was removed by the 613 pieces of advice at Har Sinai. That's what wiped it out. The Egel Azov, I'm not sure, you're right, it hit us hard and it brought us down, but I'm not sure it was in this concept of advice, of Eitzah, that implanted this into us. So it is a Yerida after that, but I think, in a different realm. You hear what I'm saying? Make sense? Yeah.
But if it's the Erev Rav who caused it to happen
Yeah.
in the main, then they wouldn't have had the vessel even after, they probably wouldn't have had the vessel even after Har Sinai to maintain all that Kedusha yet, all that light. It takes
Oh,
time.
you mean that made the Egel Hazav?
Yeah.
Uh-huh. Yeah, that's a good, yeah. I hear. The, yeah, could be.
Not everyone worshipped the Egel Zahav, and Chava was the mother called, light, so maybe that's the difference too.
Because the Egel's a calf?
Pardon?
Because the Egel's a
I'm
calf, you're
saying
saying?
Chava,
Yeah,
from her came mankind.
yeah.
Okay, so that's, but then, not everyone worshipped the Egel Zahav, so they had free choice at that point,
Right.
maybe,
Yeah, for sure. So this is the main thing. The main thing that we have to remember is this whole, like, it's our entire life. Not only is Emunah our entire life, and Nisim and Tefillah, and this whole outlook, this whole way of living, but also, like, the first time I heard this, I feel like I was like shot to Gan Eden. That the Torah is called 613 pieces of advice on how to have Dveikus with Hashem. That's what the Zohar calls it, right? It's not just a bunch of things you got to do, right? These are the things. If you do these, you're gonna have Dveikus with Hashem, right? Once again, it's the same idea. It's the whole. It's my existence. It's my life. This is how I live. This is how I connect to Hashem. Everything is connected in this realm. Totally mind blowing. Okay, shkoyach everybody. All the best.
Yeah.